Look at me, son.
You're not your father, but you will be if you don't change.
So, Tony says you're a good guy.
But I promise I'll be the best worker you ever hired. I'm poor, hungry, and determined, sir.
Well, that's just stupid.
Wow! Hey, this is so cool. Have you seen this?
Hey, cálmate.
I want to learn from you. People always try to throw away the brown ones.
In 1966, there was a boy named Richard Montanez. He came from a poor Mexican family who worked in a winery with a drunkard as a father. As a minority, he was prone to bullying. The bullies would disturb his lunch during recess and waste his burrito only because it had peas inside, which they said was food for the poor. But despite that, he didn't feel bad about it. He even went to school the very next day bringing more burritos that he gave to the girl he liked. He also had one of the bullies try the burrito and made him fall in love with the taste. When the other bullies wanted a bite, he made them pay 25 cents for each burrito. Since then, he became a successful burrito seller at school. The money Richard collected was finally enough for him to buy chocolate for his desired girl. He then went to the convenience store, only to get himself arrested after attracting too much attention for bringing a lot of money with him. During the 60s, Mexicans were still considered low class. Richard was treated like a criminal by the local police and arrested. During the 70s, Richard had grown into a teenager with long hair and a mustache. He became part of gangsters and drug dealers. He and his girl from elementary school, Judy, who became his girlfriend, seemed to be together always. One day, their relationship went too far and Judy ended up pregnant. Since then, as if he was struck by lightning, Richard had a realization of what he had done this whole time. He realized that he had done wrong and began to keep his distance from his drug dealer friends. In 1982, Richard and Judy finally married and had 2 children. Richard worked as an electrician who barely met the end of the month. This family had to rely on Judy's salary, working as a shopkeeper, which was still not enough. Richard finally returned to his parents' house, where he didn't seem too fond to meet his father. When he finally met them, he was treated badly by his father.
You're not kind of going to fix him. He's to fix himself.
Rich, are you serious?
He then went out to meet old friends. Richard wanted to return to selling drugs, but it turned out that Tony Romero, the gang leader, forbade him because he felt sorry for his family. It turned out that Tony was already finished with his dark past too, and now worked in a food factory. Knowing this, Richard asked him to find him a position in the company too. The next day, Richard came to the food factory, which turned out to be Frito-Lay, a food industry that produced snacks like Cheetos, Lay's, and Doritos. At home, Judy filled out the application form as a graduate of Santo Bernardus High School, even though Richard never reached high school. The next day, Richard faced the human resource manager, who turned out to be a high school alumnus of Santo Bernardus High School itself. Richard, who was not a good liar, finally spilled the beans, but when the manager was about to leave, Richard asked for an opportunity to work there. In the end, the manager accepted Richard to work as a janitor.
Fine. Honestly, most of the Mexicans here work pretty dang hard. What's the worst you could do? Break a mop?
But I won't.
With enthusiasm, Richard ironed his Frito-Lay work uniform. As an immigrant like him, being able to work in big companies had become a matter of pride, even though it was just as a janitor. He was enthusiastic to see the amazing facility, especially because he was very interested in machinery.
Montañez!
One time, when Richard was cleaning, he met an operator named Clarence Baker. Clarence respected Richard and began to take him as a student. Every day while cleaning, Richard never forgot to ask about mechanics, and Clarence would always give answers. Because of his enthusiasm for learning, he was willing to come early and go home late. His diligence paid off as he was awarded Employee of the Month. It turned out that life was not as smooth as expected. When Ronald Reagan became president, the economic recession hit the country. Instead of being promoted, Richard had to be grateful that he was still able to survive when Frito-Lay had to downsize employees. During the 8-year period until 1992, Richard had to be satisfied with his job as a janitor. The company situation was getting worse because sales were decreasing due to the recession. Roger Enrico was so stressed, he made a motivational video asking his employees to think like a CEO and find opportunities behind adversity. At the Rancho Cucamonga Frito-Lay branch plant, only Richard watched the video. Roger Enrico's words were very evocative for Richard.
I want you to think like a CEO.
Think like a CEO.
That afternoon, Richard picked up his sons from school. He was shocked when he saw that one of his sons was battered. Turned out he had a fight after being called a Latino, while the younger one was proud to have Mexican blood because he loved Mexican food made by his mother. To cheer up his son, Richard then invited them to snack on elote, a Mexican-style grilled corn covered in spicy seasoning. The kid actually liked it spicy. That very moment, Richard just realized that as Latinos, they really like spicy food. The elote had given him inspiration. When he came home, Richard had come up with an idea. He intended to make a spicy, seasoned snack that would undoubtedly be able to save his company as well as his job. He then asked his wife to concoct the seasonings. To make an authentic taste, Richard and Judy went shopping for spices at an authentic Mexican shop. When they were finished, they ordered Stephen, their youngest son, as a tester.
The reader.
Oh, yeah.
Bad.
Oh, that salsa would have made the devil sweat.
Richard and Judy did the experiment repeatedly until finally they discovered the perfect combination that made Stephen addicted to the flavor.
It burned good.
One day, their factory was doing another layoff of employees. Richard felt that it was time for him to act. He dared to convey his idea to Lonnie, the plant manager, and asked him to call Roger Enrico. Lonnie directly refused, saying there would be no chance for a CEO to hear the idea from a janitor like him. Finally, Richard acted alone. That night, he snuck into the manager's office and copied the phone number of their company's CEO. The next day, he secretly called the CEO's office. The staff was shocked to find out a low-class worker called straight to the CEO's office. But after knowing Richard's intention, they immediately forwarded the call to Roger Enrico. While talking to the CEO, Richard explained that he is a Mexican, and like other Mexicans, they really like to eat snacks, but they always smear it with spicy sauce. He then said that he had made his own seasoning. When Roger found out that Richard was motivated by watching his video, Roger became interested and decided to try his samples. When he finally received the sample, despite the extreme spiciness, the taste was actually addicting. Roger called Richard and said that he was very intrigued. In the next 2 weeks, Roger would visit the Frito-Lay plant in Rancho Cucamonga.
Who the hell is Richard Montanez? He works in your plant. Find him! Montanez! Montanez!
The arrival of the big boss to listen to ideas from a low-class employee immediately caused an uproar. Even the manager scolded him for violating the command hierarchy. Finally, Richard became restless. He was afraid that he would be held responsible if there was another dismissal. But fortunately, he had Judy, who always made sure that he was not giving up easily. Judy invited her husband to practice his presentation. The two of them were busy digging into the library, looking for references to do business presentations properly. The presentation day arrived. Roger Enrico finally arrived at the factory with some other officials. Armed with a presentation sheet on a projector, Richard wanted to convince the officials. He couldn't stand his Harvard graduate-like composure and decided to present as comfortably as he wanted to. Richard appeared frankly and said that from the point of view of a Latino consumer, their product list was too boring. As a Latino who was used to food full of spices, he longed for snacks that are rich in flavor. He wanted to open the eyes of the officials that the Latino market was actually very large in America. All that was enough for Roger Enrico to see the vision of Richard. He decided to provide an opportunity for ideas from the janitor. The company then decided to do a market test of 5,000 packs of new variants. This new variant of Cheetos was named Flaming Hot Cheetos. Sadly, after quite some time on display on supermarket shelves, it turned out that this new variant had not been touched by consumers. James Finley, the executive, decided to stop the experiment. Of course, Richard and Lonnie protested. Lonnie asked to give him another chance until the next 1 week. Richard started doubting himself. Luckily, Clarence gave him the support he needed, asking him to swallow his pride and never give up. At home, Richard got inspiration from his son. His son said that he never saw any advertisement for the flaming hot Cheetos. The next day, Richard visited Tony in his old gang's place. He promised to give Tony his old job back as long as he wanted to help him. Then, accompanied by Tony and the gang, Richard came to the factory. He climbed onto one of the machines and gave a speech. He told all the workers that the flaming hot Cheetos would soon be stopped by the company. He firmly believed that the sluggish sales were because people didn't know about it. He wanted to do marketing by spreading the piles of flaming hot Cheetos to the Latino community, their target market. With the help of all the employees, they transported the cardboard boxes to Tony and the others' cars. Richard and his sons also went to supermarkets to buy their products, making visitors curious about the flaming hot Cheetos. This action then had an effect by increasing the sales chart for the product. After the good news, Roger Enrico was enthusiastic. He then contacted Richard and ordered a mega production of flaming hot Cheetos for 5 million packs to be produced immediately. This was good news for Richard and the employees.
Richard, it's Roger Enrico. We're going to need more cases.
Yes, sir. Like how many? Like 5,000?
No, we're going to need 5 million.
Not playing, are you?
No, Richard.
Right away, sir. Thank you.
Thanks to the massive production, the previous laid-off laborers were hired back, including Tony. After 6 months, the condition of the company was stable and even able to return to normal as before the recession, thanks to the Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Clarence was finally promoted as the new plant manager after waiting for 20 years. But sadly for Richard, who hoped to be promoted as the machine operator, apparently still had not received the good news. But it turned out, that very day, Roger Enrico himself secretly visited the branch. He then met with Richard and surprised him with a promotion, not just a machine operator position. Roger promoted Richard to become the director of cross-cultural marketing. Roger wanted him to develop more new variants of Cheetos flavors based on local taste. Since then, Richard continued to work and came up with other innovations that brought Frito-Lay products to gain more and more interest from snackers. He was nicknamed the godfather of Latino marketing among top executives of PepsiCo, Frito-Lay, and later retired in 2019 by leaving the legacy of the Flaming Hot Cheetos. The film delivers powerful moral lessons about perseverance, self-belief, and the importance of embracing one's cultural identity. It also demonstrates that success isn't determined by formal education or socioeconomic background, but by creativity, determination, and the courage to pursue bold ideas despite skepticism from others. It also values taking calculated risks, learning from failure, and never allowing others to define your potential. Ultimately, it shows that authentic leadership involves lifting others up, and that cultural diversity in business isn't just morally right, it's profitable and innovative.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe for more recaps. See you next time.